Hello, what's up, guys? Today we're gonna do a special stream, um, to pull for Mika. I believe I'm highly confident I finished the 30 hour, so hopefully all my stream counted. But we'll see when the works. But anyway, we're also gonna be pulling for maybe a C1 on Ayaka. So start that up. If Mika comes, oh well, we're gonna stop pulling. Okay, no Mika yet. 20. We have no pity whatsoever, so 30. Alright, 40. Alright, so we are now on 40. I don't know what Mika's constellations are though. Level him up. I don't think we're going for constellation because hmm. What do you ascend on? Oh, I could already ascend him.
あなたにはまだ及びませんが、
So he
少なくとも
scales off of
足を引っ
HP.
張らないだけの自信がついたと思います。
He does HP percentage. Okay.
Yori より有益。
What is this? What? Oh my god. Skill. He needs that guy. Why is somebody from Mondstadt needs that boss? Alright. Let's go to this. This down. Go.
この同点同点につい
Okay. Mika's down. I guess we could farm for that boss.
ご助力を。失礼。それ。やっ。それ。雪を前へ。それ。やっ。
Oh, it does gain more. Yeah, since technically I don't need him. I don't need a
装
healer.
備の点検完了。
Okay, let's try them out. Do the test run.
魂よ。ちょっとビリビリ。は
この瞬間お前は
っ。天身直送。やっと。早く投降しなさい。話が通じないなら叩くまでで。
こいつはどうだ。すまんすまん。
やっ命ずる。はっ。律令に従え。やっ。ほっと。はっ。魂よ。だってと。ふん。
Okay, we got that.
星としん。元気出してよ。踊りなさい。え？はっ。桜吹雪。よ、それ。師匠の技を食らいなさい。はっ。失礼。よ、それ。え？それ。神里流。 踊りなさいよ。
Okay, let's try out Mika. Mika.
せっ反則攻撃。せっやっ。
断罪の名に。
治療は僕にお任せを。せっ。
夜の権限。飲みすぎだよ。
突破口を開きましょう。せっ。せっ。せっ。
お嬢様の仰せのままに。
ターゲットロックアップ発生。
どけ。速射牽制。皆さん元気を出して。
影のカラスが優也を求めている。リオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。
貫け。せや。
Okay.
Q インテスト開始。安全距離確認。
おとなしくしやがれ。
逃がさないわよ。
7号式モジュール。
この瞬間お前は永遠を手にする。
しびれさせちゃうわよ。
こいつはどうだ。すまんすまん。
ちょっとビ
無双の風シミュレート。
We're at 40 pity. Yep. Now we can do the rest. Saving up for the next 5-star. We want it.
おとなしくしやがれ。
逃がさないわよ。ちょっとビリビリさせないと。
こいつはどうだ。風邪ひくなよ。
ちょっとビリビリさせないとね。
いやターゲットロック飲みすぎだよ。
これ
ちょっとビリビリさせないとね。逃がさないわよ。ちょっとビリビリさせないとね。はっ、それ。
この瞬間お前は
逃がさないわよ。ちょっとビリビリさせないとね。
ターゲットロックアッ
逃がさないわよ。しびれなさい。
Go. Next boss.
難攻不落。
反則攻撃。この祈りを聞き雪を前へ。それ。失礼。
天道ここにあり。
雪を前へ。やっそれよや踊りなさい。
岩山八九。
や雪を前へ。それよそれそれ
行不落。
ってください。
守る
岩山八九。天理チョーク。
反則攻撃。治療は僕。桜吹雪。
Okay. We need way more. Hmm. Alright, we do that. We go over here, reset the boss. Then we're gonna look up Mika build. Alright, what's Mika's build? Port A, healer A.
刀は技を支え、匠は宝を有す。
3.6. Ave and Baisu. Okay.
刀はお
We
茶
do
と同
want
じ
those
く
though.
丁寧に味わってこそ本来の趣がわかるものです。刀は技を支え、匠は宝を有す。
How is that an A tier support? Favonius land, substitute Black Death on prototype. Energy
刀は技を支
HBH.
え、匠は宝を有す。
Ocean. What's ocean? to Mika review.
Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. The frontline land surveyor of the Knights of Favonius, Mika, has arrived to guide us through Mondstadt. But can he guide us in terms of his usefulness in combat? This video, we'll be taking a look at how good a Constellation Zero Mika can be. It's been a long time since physical damage has had any sort of meaningful updates to its playstyle. MiHoYo seems to finally be Mika-able to providing physical damage the much needed support that it deserves. But is Mika really what was needed? This video will cover the following topics. We'll be going over his full kit, his supporting capabilities for many different physical DPS characters, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and my brutally honest opinion at the end of the video. But really quick, it's time to pay some bills. And today's sponsor is Immortal Rising. Immortal Rising is an extreme idle action RPG where you raise your immortal to slaughter endless waves of monsters in an extremely stylistic fashion. Utilize swords, daggers, bows, and magic to defeat your enemies the way you want to. But wait, if you're tired of idle games where progress is as slow as time, well, Immortal Rising isn't like that at all. The combat is super fast paced, the character leveling is ultra fast paced, and the eye candy is on turbo overdrive, with countless particles and shiny abilities. Immortal Rising also isn't stingy with its in-game resources, providing everything you need to progress. Tons of gems, enhanced tomes, rune dice, gold, basically tons of everything you need. And you can always make progress every day just by logging on and collecting your AFK rewards. And there's plenty of stuff to do with PvE, guild content, and PvP as well. Immortal Rising already has over 600,000 downloads worldwide with an average rating of 4.75 out of 5. Smash that link down below to get started today. Huge thanks to Immortal Rising for sponsoring today's video. Anyway, we'll start off with a support build for Mika. He is using the Favonius Lance, and he has the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige with a focus on crit rate and energy recharge. He's at Constellation 0, and his talents are at 9, 9, and 9. Before moving on, I do want to emphasize that I don't actually recommend leveling up his basic attacks. I just did that for the showcase, and because this is on the media server. As usual, we'll explore and map out his kit by starting with his basic attacks. Spear of Favonius, Arrow's Passage. Mika pokes and prods his enemies with his polearm and also busts out his trusty crossbow for a couple of shots. As for his basic attack damage, don't Mika me laugh. We all knew he wasn't going to do any real damage with his basic attacks. Up next is his elemental skill, Star Frost Swirl. It has a tap and a hold version. His elemental skill is quite complicated to say the least. The first thing to note is that it generates 4 cryoparticles, and both the tap and hold versions have a 15-second cooldown. After using his elemental skill, Mika's team is granted the Soul Wind buff. Soul Wind provides between 13 and 25% attack speed depending on his elemental skill talent level. As we can see in this clip, it took Mika 12 seconds and 42 frames to do 4 N4s without his own attack speed buff, and it took him 10 seconds and 57 frames with his Soul Wind's attack speed buff. His first passive, Suppressive Barrage, also ties into his elemental skill. This passive provides physical damage based on the number of detector stacks, which is based on the number of targets hit by his tap E and hold E. As we can see here, with the tap version and against just a single target, Mika is not gaining any physical damage. Now, against multiple targets, his tap E can pierce the enemy, and after piercing through to hit a total of 2 enemies in this clip, now Mika has a small 10% physical damage bonus. The whole version locks onto an enemy, and similarly against a single target, it also does not provide any physical damage. For his hold D against 4 targets, we can notice a few things here. First, it gave Mika 30% physical damage bonus against 4 targets. After the initial arrow hits an enemy, a flare flies up and splits into 3 and hits nearby enemies. This flare will not hit the first enemy that the arrow hit. Sadly, the enemies do need to be somewhat close together for either his hold E to hit multiple targets or his tap E to pierce through multiple targets. In other words, Mika's elemental skill needs to be able to hit 2, 3, or 4 enemies to provide his party a 10, 20, or 30% physical damage buff from this passive and just from his elemental skill. Up next is his elemental burst, Sky Feather Song. Mika pulls out his third weapon, a book that's not a catalyst.
皆さん元気を出して
Casting his burst heals the entire party. Then the on-field character will heal if they hit an enemy with a normal attack during his burst, and his Eagle Plume has a 15-second duration. With this Favonius support build, we can see that the healing is admittingly a bit lacking, only healing 7,884 to the entire party with the initial cast, and then 1,575 damage per tick. But since it has a rather high 70 energy cost, I do find it good to have a lot of energy recharge and the Favonius to maintain burst uptime. Mika's other passive also ties into his elemental burst. By having both his elemental burst active and his elemental skills Soul Wind active, the on-field character will get a detector stack if they score a critical hit, which is thus a small 10% physical damage bonus. So now that we know how to gain all the detector stacks on Mika's kit, the only way to gain all 4 detector stacks is to use his elemental burst, use his elemental skill and have it hit 4 enemies, and then finally hit an enemy with a critical hit with a normal attack. This will actually give you all 4 detector stacks, which leads to 40% physical damage. Let's now use all of Mika's abilities to see how much damage he can do.
皆さん元気を出して
That was some truly astronomical damage.
皆さん元気を出して
Much more interestingly and amicable to Mika's kit is to see how good is he as supporting some physical DPS characters. Let's start off with the OG physical DPS character, Razor, and we're going to compare Mika's buffs to just plain old Superconduct. Well, it was a non-negligible improvement for our favorite Wolf Boy. It's worth noting that in this situation, Razor got the following buffs: the 20% attack noblesse buff, 10% physical damage bonus from Mika's second passive, and the Soul Wind's attack speed. Unsurprisingly, Razor did save a bit of time compared to literally having nothing to buff his damage besides Superconduct, but it is a pretty small amount of time saved. Up next is Crescent Pike Zhongli. Well, since the Crescent Pike is subject to more RNG and I didn't have 100% crit rate with this build, do take this with a slightly larger grain of salt. But there is a small improvement in this clip where Zhongli was able to save roughly 10% off his Registfine killing time thanks to Mika's buffs. And a lot of you will be wondering, what about Eula? First thing to note is that my Eula is indeed at Constellation 6, so any number you see here is subject to RNG. With that being said, Mika's attack speed will generally provide 1 additional stack to Eula's burst. Overall though, this is a rather modest improvement to Eula's damage and is much smaller in comparison to other buffers like Lisa and Bennett. And these next few clips might Mika you a bit depressed. I unequipped the Noblesse 4-piece from Mika for this series of tests. In this clip, with Mika's 10% physical damage buff, after waiting for Eula's burst to naturally expire, her burst did 48,254 damage. In this next clip, even with the same Mika setup with him grabbing the 1 stack of Soul Wind, if we swap Eula off early to cause her to prematurely explode, her burst did 45,757 damage. This means that if Eula swaps off early, she doesn't even keep Mika's physical damage bonus. This is because Eula's burst doesn't snapshot until her sword reaches its climax. However, Mika's buff disappears the moment you swap off. So for those of you hoping Mika is a great support for Eula, well, he is okay, but he doesn't appear to be a good choice if you plan to swap Eula off early.
皆さん元気を出して。
So in the background, I'm going to have some failed Abyss 12 runs that utilize physical DPS characters and Constellation Zero Mika supporting them. And I'll also talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what's good about Constellation Zero Mika? He does provide a bit of healing that is based on having his elemental burst. He can provide up to 40% physical damage bonus if there are 4 enemies he's able to hit with his elemental skill. He generates a high amount of, which is 4, cryoparticles all at once with his elemental skill, and of course, Mika provides the most amount of attack speed from a Constellation Zero character. But that's where the good ends for our poor little cartographer. As for the bad, at Constellation Zero, his buffs are actually pretty small. At Constellation Zero against a single target, he can only provide 10% physical damage bonus and about 22% attack speed. He has very low cryo application. Mika might actually be the character with the lowest amount of elemental application in the entire game, only applying cryo a single time once every 15 seconds through the use of his elemental skill. Sadly, I hate to say this, but he basically does nothing at Constellation Zero. And now for the ugly, Mika is another super specialized support that really likes having their Constellation 6. Mika provides a stellar 60% crit damage to physical damage at Constellation 6, which actually makes his buff very substantial even against single targets. A big issue with Constellation Zero Mika is that he's also the number of clumped up enemies dependent as well, to provide up to 30% physical damage. Again, this means that he's not a good buffer against a single target. As we saw earlier, you can't swap Eula off during her burst and still get Mika's physical damage buff. And Mika's attack speed buff also doesn't work with charged attacks in case you were curious. And finally, physical DPS is just not in a good place right now, with Hyper Bloom being the best option for physical DPS characters thanks to the super conducts that do occur thanks to the way Hyper Bloom works. And I do want to point out that I wasn't able to complete either side of this new Abyss 12 within the recommended 90 seconds while utilizing purely a physical DPS team that uses Mika as primarily a support character. So yeah, that's why I don't really have a complete Abyss 12 run for you guys with Constellation Zero Mika. Honestly, at Constellation Zero, Mika might be better off just providing his attack speed buff to fast normal attackers like Wanderer, Yoimiya, and Ayato instead of our complete lack of physical normal attackers outside of Razor. But using Mika for his attack speed buff for those characters is still very copium because those characters all have much better support options or sub DPS options than Mika. Someday though, I do expect there to be a stellar normal attack based physical DPS character. And Mika, even at Constellation Zero, is likely going to be a great support character for them. But alas, of course, that character just simply does not exist today. So all in all, we have yet another super specialized support character that needs their Constellation 6 to really shine. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.
That sucks. Well, we're still gonna have to do his thing. His friendship. Oh. And he does provide attack speed.
戻りなさい。はっそれさってください。にゃっそれそれはっ我らに祝福あれ。つだけです。神里流消滅。失礼。それ
天道万象
突破口を開きましょう。
やっはっ
どいて。ほっそっ
Well, there you go. That's what we have for Mika, I guess.
新天
飛車牽制。
We're gonna do physical bonus damage on him. Why not? Pretty cool animation, I guess. But I won't be really doing anything with him. He can carry the Crescent Pike though, just because he's physical buffer. Anyway, that is it for this stream. Just wanted to showcase Mika real quick. We do have a lot. We just did 40 rolls because we literally started from 0 and we did 4 pulls on him. So oh, Kishinobu started first. Plus Mika will be added anyway to the normal one, so yeah, we're pretty happy with that. We'll get his constellation eventually. So anyway, see you guys next time. Peace.